Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is No Sleep with an update on the First Descendant. Now, this is going to be a very niche update, but the Steam page, as you can see, is now rated mostly negative due to player concerns about the devs breaking a promise to never nerf characters. Now, why do I feel like this is something important that needs to be talked about? Well, it's because this has become a trend in the gaming community, that whenever the players feel threatened by the devs in some form or fashion, they review bomb games. So now we're going to go over the supposed evidence and determine if Nexon really has gone back on their word in some form or fashion. Here's the top of the reviews list, filtering by negative, so that's why you're seeing what you're seeing right now. You can kind of just go through and see things like the devs nerf your class when they said from the very beginning that they will not nerf anything. Over here, you see First Descendant. Game developers made a promise at the beginning of the game not to nerf any Descendant. I'm actively reaching out to Nexon and Nexon Legal for a refund of all Descendant-related purchases I made following the developers' initial statements about not nerfing characters. Promise no nerf to character. Another post claiming the devs said we will never nerf any Descendants. Okay. You guys get the point. So let's go through and look at the evidence. All right, so here we are on Reddit looking at a dev Q&A from 6/26/2024. Here you can see the questions, the translated answers right underneath them. If you scroll down, after launch, there could be an issue with players being overbalanced, meaning overpowered in the game. What is your approach to tuning such an issue? What we're looking for is which character and what combination is causing the overpoweredness. We want to make sure that nothing is so overpowered that any other update is rendered insignificant in turn. We plan to rework modules and/or skills through each seasonal update's balance patch, and for characters that need a systematic buff, we plan to introduce new modules that will reinforce their weaknesses. So right here you can see we plan to rework modules and/or skills through each seasonal update's balance patch. And then moving on here, recent players have shown to be highly sensitive to nerfs. Even if a Descendant is overpowered, there may be a lot of backlash with any attempt to nerf the character. What are some of your detailed approach to balancing? And then again, we have the director basically saying, he can't definitively say what will happen when it comes to it. But right here, so if necessary, I think it's important to take an aggressive approach to balancing. But we also need to be transparent with the balance changes and provide objective analysis to the players in order to convince them why such actions are necessary. Alright, so that's one interview, but if that's the case, then why does the community think that there was a no nerf policy? Well, I'm going to show you. Alright, so I was one of the day one players as well, and even I was under the impression that they had made such a promise. So, what happened? Well, the community told me that that's the promise that they had made, and there were websites like this one that were reporting the First Descendant players elated after devs promise to not nerf broken builds. Going on in here, it says, the First Descendant released on July 2nd and players have already discovered a Glay build that is so broken that it never runs out of ammo and can melt bosses instantly. There's no doubt that the community is enjoying the build and their only concern was that the developers would nerf it. However, as mentioned in the patch notes for the First Descendant hotfix 1.0.2, the devs have reassured the community that they won't be nerfing any build. Not just that, the devs also pointed out that there are even more broken builds that the community is yet to discover. Okay, so there you have it. The devs did make such a promise, except for when we actually go into the First Descendant hotfix 1.0.2, here it is, the First Descendant hotfix 1.0.2, and the comment in question, as you can see here, the developers do kind of put their little director's comments in as you go. The very last director's additional comment at the very bottom of the list says, "It has come to our attention that the community is worried about possible nerfs to Tamer and Glay's infinite magazine builds. This meta is very strong, but since it is within the scope of what the dev team has planned, there are no immediate plans to do so. In addition, some weapons are more powerful than Tamer, and there are a variety of character builds that rival Glaive's infinite magazine, so please enjoy them fully." So it appears what's happened here is misinformation from the community. The devs never promised not to nerf anything. In fact, what they said was, since it's within the scope of what the dev team planned, there's no immediate plans to do so. Which means that they have a scope, a limit on what is allowed to be in the game. So really what I'm here to say is, Nexon wants the player base to have fun, but they also don't want all future content to just be trivialized instantly. And that makes sense, because it's a video game. You need things to do. But what needs to stop are these senseless review bombings, because all you're doing is hurting the devs who are trying to make something that you love better. Anyway, that's going to be it for now. I'm hoping that this helps people wrap their mind around what's going on, and I'm going to see you guys in the next one.